Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a May wrap up. To say it's been a really good month. Read books is kind of an understatement. I had some great reads. So without further ado, let's go talk about them. The first book of May is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I started reading it at the end of April, but finished it in May. It's a classic. It follows the story of a young man who one day wakes up as a giant bug, and you kind of follow the story of how he, but also his family members deal with it and all the changes. And I have to admit, I was kind of caught off guard when I started reading the first few pages because I didn't read the back. It was just more of hearsay that people talked about it. And they all said like he turned into a bug, and for some reason I thought it was like a small one. So when in the beginning of the pages they talk about how he was moving around, I was like, that's awfully big. And then I realized that they probably meant a life-size bug and not a small one. So after the first few pages I understood what was going on and I really enjoyed it. It was kind of for me a book to get back into classics because I kind of in a slump with it coming to those, and because it only has 140 pages I felt like it was a really good start, and I really don't regret it. It was like a lot better than I anticipated it to be. It's like this kind of crazy writing prompt of someone who turns into a life-size bug and what's gonna happen, and then Franz Kafka kind of delivers on the whole moral and ethical questioning of like, what do you do if there's like this big change, and what happens with each and every single family member, and how do they kind of relate to this. So I thought it was very interesting, and to put that whole story and everything in 140 pages, it was just really well done. So if you want to read a classic but you don't want to, like, I don't know, you think of like just big giant books, don't think of it, this is like a really good book to start and to just slowly get into kind of classics. The next two books that I had kind of on audiobook on throughout the month is the first two books of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and The Restaurant at the End of the Universe by Douglas Adams. I listened to a live reading from someone who did that last year, like 2020, during when the pandemic first hit, and honestly it was really fun. He did a really good job. I listened to it to Spotify, so I'll link it down below. It's definitely, if you want to listen to an audiobook of it, this is definitely highly recommended. The book itself, you follow Arthur Dent, which is a person from the UK, and you kind of follow his journey through time and space after the Earth has blown up. And it's just so much fun, like the way it's written and the way everything is talked about. It's funny to read, or listen to, and it's really well done, and it's so different than most of the other books that I have read in a very long time. So it just made it very enjoyable. I laughed out loud sometimes. It was a really good read, and definitely showed me one of the reasons why I love sci-fi as much as I do, because through all the and also through all the twists and turns and different strange names of things, they also have this really big talk about like, what's the meaning of life, which is partially a joke and partially taken seriously, and it's like, why do we exist and why do we do things the way we do. And he just handled it very fun in a very good and just enjoyable way throughout the book. So if you're looking to get into sci-fi or read at least one book about it or in that genre, or just want to have a good laugh, definitely recommend this one. The next book that I read was Clap On You Land. I really enjoyed this book, although I was a bit surprised. This time I did read the back, but what I didn't expect for it was to be written in poetry form, and I really expect it to be like a full story. So as you can see, like right here, it's all written in like poetry in short sentences, and when I started realized that at the beginning, I wasn't sure whether I would like it, but this book makes me want to read poetry more, and or even start, because I was never really sure whether that was something for me. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. And this book follows the story of two sisters. One lives in New York City, the other one lives in the Dominican Republic. And they don't know of each other's existence until their father passes away in a plane crash. And that's through that whole process they learn about each other's existence. And it's just this beautiful story about loss and grief and family and love, and how that's all interwoven into our own lives. And due to the setting of like poetry, you just like kind of read small little parts of their thought process. And what I really liked about this book as well was that it's very clear that they're sisters. Like, some things are so similar, but at the same time they're so significantly their own person. And I feel like that's something that, especially with siblings, you recognize that there are definitely parts between siblings that is very similar, but you can be so different in very other aspects. So I definitely recommend this one. It was really good and it was very beautiful, and you maybe saw some like yellow in there. I have quite a few parts that I thought were beautiful and kind of annotated it. There is a trigger warning though for this book. There is definitely description and talk about sexual assault. If that's something that you just don't really want to read right now, or just want to avoid anything like that, I would leave this book be, because it's kind of interwoven throughout the story and also often alluded to. So if that's the case, leave this book for what it is. The next book that I read was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is again a classic, a smaller one, which I felt comfortable starting with to kind of like get back into it. I was excited about this one because the story sounded very interesting. You follow Dorian Gray, and he's like this very young, very wealthy young man who, you know, lives among the higher social circles in UK, in London. And one day a friend of his paints a picture of him, and this very innate, very unnatural, like insane desire to stay beautiful forever starts to grow within him. And what happens next is that the painting, the picture, starts aging and starts showing who he really is through all the like deplorable, terrible things that he does. And he himself stays young and beautiful and pure looking. So you kind of follow him throughout a very big part of his life, where he like desperately tries to stay very beautiful and young and hides away the painting that shows who he really is as a person. I really like this book. This one was no surprises. What I expected from it delivered. Didn't mean it was bad. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was really well set up in a relatively short amount of time. Oscar Wilde is capable of just like making his point come across and make you hate and dislike the characters that you're supposed to hate and dislike. I mean, a lot of big part of the book are just like rich white men saying a lot, talking a lot, but not saying anything, and just being very pretentious about everything. And so yeah, you kind of dislike them anyway, but that's the point. And also I think in regards to how we now have this very unnatural desire to stay young with everything on social media, I think that it's very interesting to read this one with that in mind as well. And the very last one, which is non-fiction, is The Writing Tools by Roy Peter Clark. He gives 55 essential strategies for every writer. Like I said, non-fiction, and what you can expect from someone who talks about writing itself. The book was very enjoyable to read. The chapters are relatively short. He gives you the tip, explains it a little bit, and gives very clear examples. And then gives you ways to figure out the tool in your own writing, recognize it in someone else's writing. And he calls that a workshop. I thought it was really good, and no matter if you write for as a hobby and you just write fiction, or you want to do it more seriously, or you're a journalist, or you do your school paper or anything like that, it just gives you, there's just something to learn for everyone, especially with 55 strategies. Everyone can learn from this, and I can definitely say that it's really made me look at my own writing with a very different light and makes me want to really become better at it. So yeah, if you want to be a better writer or write for work or whatever, definitely recommend this one. So that was it for what I read in May. In June, I will also be reading several books. For example, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have The Alchemist by Paul Coelho. And most notably also, which I will bring out at the end of the month, is a video about Dutch classics that I'm reading right now. I've read some the past month. I'll be reading more this week or this month also. So at the end of it, I will post a video about those. So keep an eye out for that one. And yeah, I'm excited. I hope to see you again. And if you do, and if you like this video, please subscribe. It really helps me out, and also like and comment down below. And I hope you're gonna have a fantastic week. Bye!